The place where we can learn and make intelligent decisions to maintain and maximize our health as we age, changing our lifestyle and changing our trajectory of our lives so that we can have the life we always wanted to have. Good news is it's never too late. Hello and welcome to Doc's Place, where we age responsibly. You know, we've talked about why we want to be healthier, why we want to take care of ourselves as we age so that we can enjoy our lifestyle. It's like if you're in your 40s and know you're going to retire, you're working on your retirement plan and making sure you have the house paid off, making sure you have an income stream while you're retired that'll support what you want to do, not just get by. And it's the same thing with our lifestyle, our diet, our exercise, how we take care of ourselves, whether we smoke, whether we drink too much. Those things are what allow us to have the ability to enjoy what we say to work so hard for, is a life into our 80s and 90s where we're active and enjoying things. Can you imagine being 70 and cross-country skiing with your adult kids, or skiing on the lake at 80? I had a friend that used to ski in his 80s. I knew a guy that did triathlons in his 80s, and he'd do 6 Olympic distance triathlons every summer. Go get it, you know? Awesome. So tonight we're talking about diet. We've talked about exercise, and that's the number one longevity drug. And number 2 is nutrition. And let's look at it this way. Genetics are what you're given, and you have to take that into account. But as a lifestyle physician friend of mine likes to say, genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. So yeah, you may have some family issues and things, but it's what you do with taking care of yourself that determines whether those are going to become major issues or whether you're going to be able to control your health and enjoy your life. Talking about nutrition tonight, I don't want to talk about diet. Everybody just wants, give me a diet, tell me what to do, I'll follow it, I'll lose some weight and I'll be better. Or give me a diet and let me lose some weight and get my sugars down. Well, that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at our nutrition. We're looking at what we need to eat and do with our diet to stay healthy and maximize our capabilities. And there's 3 foods: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates are strictly an energy source. They are there just to use to burn for fuel. Fats are a significant part of the body. They are part of all the nerve coatings in our body, in our brain, are highly lipid. Myelin is a lipid, the myelin sheath on your nerves. Every cell in your body has a lipid layer in the cell lining, as well as proteins. Now, protein is your number one food. That is the food that builds your body and the body uses for repairs. And protein is probably the least appreciated and underutilized weapon in our arsenal. If you look at people that are older and they start weight training, they really don't necessarily gain a lot of muscle mass. They might slow loss, but they're not really gaining a lot of muscle mass. But if you put those same people on a diet that has adequate protein in it, then those people will actually gain muscle mass. And so there's like 2 things we want to do. We want to improve the quality of our diet, which is probably more important than the quantity of our diet, and make sure that we are eating healthy foods that sustain our lifestyle. And we have to look at whether we're overnourished or undernourished and adjust our caloric intake for that. There's 3 ways to adjust your caloric intake. You can cut your calories, you can cut your diet, like leave foods out of your diet, or you can do intermittent fasting. Calorie reduction, diet reduction of foods, and time reduction. Eat less hours of the day. Everybody just, like I said, wants a diet. Now give me just a diet, let me follow it. Well, that's not what we're here to do. We're trying to think about the way we eat as a way that we can sustain for the rest of our lives, and it may change as we age. I'm not doing the same diet that I did to lose 100 pounds, but that diet has evolved to one to maintain muscle mass and keep my weight at a reasonable level, and then check my metabolic markers such as my A1C. I check that every 6 months, and making sure that I'm not eating the wrong things in my diet. Now, the problem with the American diet is it's basically junk food. Everything you buy at the store, chips, cereal, crackers, that's all highly processed, low fiber, high carbohydrate, added sugars, and all the oils that most of that stuff has in it that it's fried in are processed oils, so they're not healthy for you. And we want to replace our diet with something that an athlete would eat. Basically, you need to eat the best quality food that you can afford to eat, and make a special effort to do that. One of the things that I suggest is first of all, not to just start trying to lose weight, but try to adjust your diet to something that is healthier. The main thing that we need to get in is protein. Protein is the number one thing in our diet. You can live without carbohydrates, you can burn fat, and your brain and body can function off the ketones. You hear people talking about ketogenic diets. I usually diet for my contests on a ketogenic diet, and that seems to work well for weight loss. You can burn fat, and once you get used to burning fat, then you don't run out of energy and you don't get worn out from not having carbohydrates. Fats, you need to eat fat. Your body makes hormones, it makes cholesterols. You need fat, but they need to be healthy fat, clean fat. You don't need the processed fried food. You don't need the biscuits at the fast food or the fried chicken at the fast food. You don't need any fast food, really. Now, the occasional treat is one thing, but as a whole, your diet should be consistently good quality food. And you think, oh, but I like eating this and I like eating that. Well, there's places in moderation for people to eat snacks or eat, at social events. My problem was I always made every social event more about the food than about socializing. And I'm also a bad impulse eater. If people have candy out at their desk or food out in the office, then I want to eat it. I know where the candy stash is at the hospital, so about midday between lunch and breakfast, I'm raiding the candy snack, mainly because I'm stressed, and that's an excuse, but I do like the surge of a good sugary candy bar. So what we need to do is, first of all, clean up our diets. And that may mean that you actually have to plan what you're eating, and you may have to meal prep. There are some places, especially in your bigger towns, and actually even not in your bigger towns, where you can get meals shipped to you. That may be something you want to explore. But basically, if I'm going to the hospital, I really don't eat much at the hospital. As far as their food, I usually bring my own food and eat mostly my own food at the hospital. They do have a salad bar. I'll eat off of that, and in the morning I get boiled eggs, because the scrambled eggs are, those fake kind of boiled eggs like you get at hotels and stuff. And they do have boiled eggs. But out of the breakfast at the hospital, it's like boiled eggs and then the kind of fake eggs. And then there's about 10 choices of meat. There's bologna, fried link sausage, sausage patties. What else do they have? I don't know. Sometimes they have turkey sausage. And then they put a pound of butter in their oatmeal online, and they put a pound of butter in their grits online. And so I just don't eat it. Now, you're still saying, oh, I don't want to do all that work. Well, think about it. You get up every morning and every night, and you brush your teeth and you floss. because you want to be healthy and you don't want to lose your teeth and you want to be able to look good and smile without having dentures as you age. And also you don't want the inflammation that infected teeth cause. There are other things you do during the day. You'd rather be taking a nap after lunch, but you continue to finish your job so you can get your pay to have the retirement money you want or whatever you're spending your money on. But you get the drift of what I'm saying. Yes, it's a little bit of work, and yes, you're going to have to think about what you're eating. But face it, if you really think about it, you probably only eat about 5 or 6 different things for each meal. I mean, you pretty much eat the same thing at breakfast. I go through the cafeteria line, and the girl knows what everybody in line eats because everybody comes down, and she pretty much knows what everybody's going to get. And even their little nuances, whether they like crispy bacon or the less cooked bacon, things like that. So you basically eat the same things. Every now and then you'll eat something different, but you're not eating more than 4 or 5 things in the morning. So if you think going on a nutrition program and improving your diet is going to limit your choices, that's on you. You've got to actually decide, what's a healthier option. And the main thing, again, is proteins. Proteins, you need 1.5 grams per kilo, which is basically for, say, a 180-pound man, that's about 40 grams of protein a meal. Basically, you're going to want 40 grams of protein for 4 meals at least as a male. As a female, you might eat 30 grams of protein. Now, when you look at what you're eating in the morning, if you're eating a biscuit and sausage on the way to work, you're getting a ton of calories in the biscuit and the unhealthy fat in that biscuit, and you're getting a little bit of protein and more fat that's not particularly healthy in the meat. So it's unfortunately just as easy to make your breakfast at home or carry it with you. People say, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, you get up every day and get your kids ready for school, give them something to eat. So why don't you get up every day and get yourself something to eat, or get something that you can carry with you, or have it made up the night before? It's going to take, 30 minutes out of your day every afternoon to get your meals ready for the next day. If you're like people that are on a real strict diet, when I contest diet, I pretty much eat eggs in the morning, and depending on whether I'm dropping weight or holding weight, I'll eat the yolks. Egg whites are a great source of protein. They're low calorie, and if you start with adding some eggs in the morning and go to toast instead of your biscuits, things like that. So don't even try to start like counting calories or restricting food. Just try replacing some of your less healthy options in your 3 major meals with something that's healthy. And what we talk about healthy protein, we're talking about lean meats. You don't want a lot of saturated fat, but you do want good lean meats: chicken, fish, any of the kind of leaner cuts of steak. Hamburger, be careful to go with a lower fat content, because you're just getting saturated fat. Don't get this ground beef at the store. You're going to have to get the ground chuck or something like that that's less fatty, or even the 90-10 that you can get in some grocery stores. If you want to do fats, go to healthy fats, go to less processed fats. One of the things I like to use is macadamia nut oil, and if you can't find it, here's a plug for Dave Palumbo. He carries a line of macadamia nut oil I think it's from South Africa. He's got a supplier down there. And the thing I like about macadamia nut oil is, compared to olive oil, you need to get the extra pure cold pressed olive oil, so it's not heat treated to make the oil less healthy. And so many people adulterate the oil, so it's really not 100% pure cold pressed olive oil. Macadamia nut is not as popular, so it's a little less they're not making money if they adulterate their macadamia nut oil. But the nice thing about macadamia nut oil is that it tastes pretty good. I like olive oil, but it does have a little bit of a bitter taste, and its temperature point is too low to fry or cook with. Macadamia nut oil, the temperature point is higher, so you can cook your eggs in macadamia nut oil. You can put it on your salads as well as olive oil. And it's a nicer oil to use. It has the same good omega-3, omega-6 ratios, or maybe even a little better. Avocados, that's a good source of clean fats. Even peanut butter that doesn't have sugar in it, your natural peanut butters are good sources of fat. And of course, nuts, walnuts, macadamia nuts, those kind of nuts are exceptionally good for your diet. So try replacing some of your go-to foods. Like for lunch, you may have to start carrying your lunch. I was joking today, I'm gonna make a lunch bag, a cool lunch bag with age responsibly on it for people to carry their lunches with them. I generally make up about 5 or 6 days. I usually make up at least 5 days of food for the week. On the weekend, I have time to cook and do things. It doesn't take much to cook 5 chicken breasts, or for me, it's 5 ounces of chicken. For a guy, it's going to be 8 ounces of chicken. And the eggs in the morning, if you don't want to get up and scramble eggs, you can make them the night before, put them in a container, and heat them up at work. And you go, ew! But I tell you what, that's going to taste better than the fake eggs that they boil in the water or whatever they do with them. If you can't get really nice scrambled eggs in the morning, then cook them in at night. I've been to a lot of contests where I've carried my eggs with me and heated them up, and they're good that way. I mean, it's not as good as fresh, but it's going to be better than eating biscuits and Pop-Tarts and fruity cereal and a lot of high-carb stuff that you don't want to include in your diet. And that's kind of the skinny of it. The skinny of it is to just try to improve the quality of the food that you're on right now and cut out some things that you could improve without really getting rid of, making it hard on yourselves. If you're metabolically challenged with sugar, if you're diabetic, my recommendations are to you to eat your carbs, load your carbs around your busiest time of the day. Like, eat your carbs in the morning, eat your carbs at noon, and try not to eat carbs in the afternoon. When I contest diet, I'll eat, if I get carbs, I'm eating them in morning, lunch, and then I'm eating no carbs at night. I'll eat salad and some non-starchy vegetables at night to get the stomach fill, but that will help, especially people with metabolic issues. The other thing you can do is don't eat fruit that's processed. If you're going to eat fruit, you need it raw. Eat it in your first 2 meals of the day, breakfast or lunch, because then you can burn the carbs off and your body's not forced to store those as fat or spike your insulin. The fiber in your fruit slows the uptake and release of glucose into the bloodstream. It ups your insulin spikes, and that's a big improvement for diabetics. And if you can't eat carbs in the morning, then you hate to say it, you can always go to beans. Beans are a good source of protein. They have a lot of fiber. They're easy for diabetics to digest and well, not digest, but to help control their sugars. If you're overnourished and you are looking to improve your weight, then you're back to calorie restriction. Eat less calories. Tracking is good for that. Get an app, track what you're eating. And what I do is, like, if I'm needing to cut weight, then I will say I usually eat 8 egg whites in the morning. If I'm on a regular diet, I might eat 2 whole eggs and 6 whites. But if I'm dieting for weight loss, then I'll eat all egg whites. because that's a lot of calories in the yolks that you're trying to keep your protein up. Protein shakes are great. You can do a couple of those in between your meals to boost your protein. A lot of people are lactose intolerant and they say whey upsets my stomach and I can't really take it. The trick to that is to get a real high quality whey isolate. There's a couple of brands out there. Again, Dave Palumbo's my coach, and he's in his 50s, and his supplement line is made for health and longevity. So he has and he's lactose intolerant, so he has a really clean whey isolate that really probably won't upset your stomach like the stuff you just buy at the store, the cheap protein or the cheapest protein that you can find, not necessarily cheap, like at Walmart or somewhere like that. You're better off getting spend a little bit more and get a high quality isolate and add that to your protein for your protein supplements. Older people, it's good to give them shakes. You got to be careful. A lot of these over-the-counter shakes have a fair amount of carbs and sugar in them, so you're almost better off just blending up your own whey shakes and putting those in. So I'm not going to do a lot about diet. There's a whole lot that we can do, but right now we're just kind of getting into the basics. And I would really like to see, like I say, you improve your content of your meals, the quality of the food in your meals. And I'd like to see you being consistent with your meals in that the 2 or 3 or 4 things you eat are good for you. And even as a general rule for most people, if you eat less carbs at night, or if you're going to eat them, eat more of a whole food carb, baked potatoes, sweet potatoes, those kind of things go in a lot slower and cause less issues than potato chips and French fries and things like that. White rice is okay, but if you really want to get all out with the fiber and slowing your insulin spikes, a brown rice has the fiber, the holes removed on white rice, so that it goes in a little faster than rice with the husk on it, brown rice. And those are kind of the basics. We'll get into a little bit more detail as we go along. We're just kind of trying to lay the foundation. What good thing is now is that you can get the Dexcom glucose monitors. You can get those with a prescription if you're diabetic. But there are some over the counter. You can get them on Amazon. I was looking at a couple today. And for non-diabetic people that want to maximize their diet, wear that for a couple of months. You'll see what foods are causing insulin spikes. You can see what your glucose levels are. And now these are trends. They're not as good as the medical ones, but they'll give you a trend of what your food is doing. And really, that's probably enough to steer you in the right direction, what you should and shouldn't eat. Some people can tolerate a lot of carbs, especially if they're very athletic and active or on demanding jobs that require a lot of physical activity. A desk worker is not going to be able to eat the same amount of carbs. Get sugar out of your diet as much as you can, and beware of all the hidden sugars, your sauces. You get meat and you get it out, when you go out. All the sauces and stuff have a lot of sugar and a lot of fat. I'm not so much worried about the fat as the sugars in them. Even like ketchup has a fair amount of sugar. I don't want to be a party pooper, I still eat ketchup, but you really have to think about what you're putting in your diet that has a lot of hidden carbohydrates and things that you don't need. And then, like I say, adjusting your quantity of food, adjusting the amount of carbohydrates in your food, adjusting the caloric content of your food is how you're going to diet. And some things work better than others. You put 2 people on the same diet, one of them's going to hate it and they're not going to stick with it, and the other person's going to do well on it. So it's more of finding a balance of good quality food, eat on a regular basis, quit eating out. Don't eat junk food. Now, the occasional junk food, if you want to get a burger and fries or something, that's one thing. But, most people, or a lot of people, eat out for lunch without bothering to take their lunch. So that's why I'm going to make the lunch bag. Eat responsibly. But do those things and see what your weight does. If your weight goes up, make some adjustments. If it goes down or stays about the same, then start watching your numbers and see if your triglycerides are improved, if your sugars are improved, your A1C, and that will help a whole lot. We will go into a lot of these subjects. We got all kinds of time coming up to talk about the nuances of diets and the nuances of exercise and how to stay motivated. Our next topic next week or the next drop is how do you stay motivated? That's the issue. It's so easy just to get off track, or you get started and then you'll start eating something bad. And I'm real bad to think I can get ice cream and stick it in the freezer and I won't eat it, but every now and then, I'm just telling myself a story because that never happens. So you have to be realistic with yourself. If you're going to eat things like that, then don't keep them in the house. Go out for it and eat it out. And then when you come home, you're done with it. And enjoy your week. Think about your health. Think about your longevity. Think about what you want to look like as you age and interact with your family and friends. And we will get there. We will make it happen. One quick story. I had a lady that came in for colon cancer resection. She had a colon cancer. She'd had a colonoscopy, 10, 15, 20 years before, and it was, I guess, okay, I don't know. But she never had a follow-up, and that's the thing. You have to be consistent with your diet. You have to be consistent with following your numbers and make sure you're checking your markers when you need to and get your colonoscopies and mammograms when you're supposed to, and not say, oh, why did this happen to me? Why did I get colon cancer? Well, you should have gotten your continued checkups as recommended, and tweaked some things in your diet. Fiber, particularly. We'll talk about fiber in an upcoming episode, and next time we're going to talk about how do you stay motivated, because that's the big issue. And we'll see you then. Age responsibly. Thanks.